Have you ever looked at your calendar and thought, how did my life get this full? It's not bad things, it's just everything. And somehow you're the one who ends up exhausted every single day. If you're always saying yes, but still feeling drained, then this might be why. Today, we are going to be talking about why commitment feels so heavy, why we say yes even when we're tired, and how God invites us to protect our peace without feeling guilty. Because you don't have to do everything to be considered as being faithful. So stay with me on today. Hi, Mama. Welcome back to the Small Stone series. Each week, we have been uncovering the small, everyday pressures that quietly steal our peace. It's not, a lot of times, it's not the big, humongous life crisis, but a lot of times it's just those little stones that we carry daily without even realizing how heavy that those things have become. And this week, we are talking about one that I know, and that I have experienced personally. It is very personal, and that is overcommitment. Overcommitment. Let's talk about naming the problem. Let's talk about naming the problem because when we talk about overcommitment, it don't feel wrong at first. It feels right at first. Let me tell you what it feels like. It feels like I'm being helpful, I'm being responsible, I'm being a good mom. It also feels like you know, that we're being a good mom. So when we say yes to the extra task, the extra events, the extra responsibility, the extra favor, until one day there's no margin left. And there's no time for God. There's no time for yourself. There's no quiet time. There's no rest. It's just constant motion. It's just constant motion and constant going. So um, I will be honest with you. There was a time and a season where my planner looked so productive. It was so productive. I felt like it was right. It was in order, with my work life, my family life, church life, serving in a community in any capacity that I could serve in. Oh, showing up for everyone. On paper, it looked like I had it all together on paper. But inside, I was tired all of the time. Bit snappy. I would snapping quicker. I felt rushed all the time. And not only that, but I felt rushed all the time in my quiet time. And just feeling guilty. Every time I would slow down, I would have those feelings of guilt, just feeling guilty for just slowing down a bit. And one night I remember looking at my calendar and just thinking that, God, when was the last time I just sat with you in your presence in your word without having to have to rush and without rushing, just rushing and thinking about the next thing that I have to do. And that question really hit me hard on that day because I really realized because I realized that I wasn't overwhelmed because life was bad. I was overwhelmed because I had said yes to so much. I had said yes to too much. So let me say something that might free you. Overcommitment, a lot of times, it isn't love. It's often guilt disguised as responsibility. It's often guilt disguised as responsibility. And once we see that, then we can start to choose differently. We can start making different decisions. We can start having a different mindset. Even Jesus didn't say yes to everything and everyone because he stepped away. He rested. He withdrew himself to pray. He intentionally withdrew himself to go and pray and seek the Father. He left crowds waiting sometimes, not because he didn't care, because we all know the compassion and the love that Jesus had for people, but because he understood something that we may have forgotten on this journey, and that is that margin protects the mission. Margin protects mission. If Jesus needed margin, then how much more do we need margin as well? Here's what a lot of us don't realize as Christian moms, that we can we can still be faithful to God and still say no to people when we need to, when it's not the right time, when it's not the right season, when it don't fit into our margin. Saying no isn't selfish. It's not. Sometimes it's stewardship. When we say no, it is us being a good steward over our time and being a good steward over what God has given us to do in that particular season in our life. So no is not selfish. When I when I finally started protecting my time just a little, just a little, I noticed something really surprising. And that is that I didn't become less loving. I became more present in the moments. My quiet time felt more connected. My quiet time felt much deeper. And my patience grew. The atmosphere in my home felt calmer. And because I wasn't running on empty all the time, because I wasn't constantly running on empty all of the time. And that's when I realized that God never wanted me exhausted. God never wanted me to be constantly exhausted, trying to constantly prove something. But He wanted me to be peaceful at walking with Him and connecting with Him on a daily basis so that He can lead me and guide me and order my steps in everything, in everything, in all of my activities. And if I was feeling not if I was not feeling that way on a daily basis, then um, it was it was hard for me to, you know, to constantly connect and do what He would have me to do. So if you are feeling stretched thin, I want you to try this on this week. If you're feeling stretched thin, try this reset on this week. And number one is pause before every yes and ask the Lord, is this mine to carry? Number two, stop answering out of guilt. We got to stop answering out of guilt and let God guide our calendar and not pressure. And number three, moms, protect your margin. Protect your margin like it's sacred. Protect your margin like it is sacred, because that's where you hear Him the most. That's where you hear God the most. Peace doesn't come from doing more. It just doesn't. Peace doesn't come from doing more. It comes from carrying less. It comes from carrying less. So, Mama, to all of you out there, if you never, if you were never called, no, not if, but you were never called to do everything. We were never called to do everything. We were called to be faithful with what God has given us to do. And that's it. Nothing else. Just yours. We were called to do and be faithful with what He has given us to do. So if this message has spoken to you on today, then I invite you to continue with me in this small stone series. And I would put the link below. The link would be below for you to connect. And just remember that you don't have to carry every stone. God's covering includes this one. God's covering that He promised, it does include this one. And I will see you on next week.